You may not realize it, but your company is a little community. Whether you have two, three, four, 10 employees, whatever, you have a community. Those people spend 8 to 10 hours a day, maybe more, at your company. And this is more than they spend sleeping or at home or anything else. So you're a very important part of their life. And most CEOs and management really don't appreciate that their employees are their biggest asset, although on the other hand, they're the biggest problem makers for the company. So having employees is a necessary evil. You can't get along without them, but they certainly do present some problems. I spent a lot of time in my companies to develop good people and to make them happy where they were. And part of that is to acknowledge the fact that they have problems. Now, they may have had a fight with their spouse before they came to work in the morning, and that certainly is going to taint their day. They're not going to be real happy. So you have to deal with that. Maybe they don't make important decisions that day, whatever. And I'm certainly not suggesting that you get into their family issues or try to solve their problems. You don't want to do any of that. But you have to be tolerant of it. And I think if you are a company, well, I know that if you're a company that is responsive to the employees and to their problems, you will have their respect. And once you have your respect, you really have a good organization being built. People will work better, longer, harder if they're happy with what they do. And we had a lot of happy workers at my company. One thing that I found that was very effective in trying to drawing people together, we created a values and belief statement. And the reason for doing that was initially we had some people who would come and work for us for a couple of months and leave. And in exit interviews, we found out that, well, the type of atmosphere that we had in our company wasn't really what they wanted to have. We were kind of a straight-laced company, and they wanted to do a little more shucking and driving, and that really wasn't us. So when they found that out, they left. So by creating this values and belief statement, we created a document that said, this is who we are. And the purpose of it was to be given on after a first interview of a new employee. Our HR department handed them this sheet and said, look, go home, take a look at this. If you believe in this and this is you, come back for a second interview. Well, the sheet got out to our other employees, and it turned out within a few weeks, we had almost everybody in the company putting that list of values and beliefs up in their cubicle or in their workspace out in the shop, whatever. They were very proud of it. They were very proud to work there. Well, the people who were working there were the people who had made the cut before, and they liked the place where it was pretty straight and narrow type of atmosphere. We didn't allow a lot of shucking and jiving and people doing things that they probably shouldn't do. We weren't very tolerant of that. So the people that did work there liked it, and now this sheet became it became a melting point for us because the people that were there realized that they liked the atmosphere that were there. And frankly, we had a lot of people bringing in their friends for jobs. We wound up having a long waiting list of people to get into our company. And we were rapidly expanding, and we did hire a lot more people. But those people really were happy to be there. And they were so happy they were willing to bring their friends in. This scared me at first a little bit too, about people bringing their friends in. I had a case where, in fact, the first time this happened was I had a fellow who came to me and said, you know, my brother really is looking for a job, and he's really a good salesman. And this was our best salesman, by the way, at the time. He was really good. Well, my fear was that if I hired his brother for sales and his brother turned out to be no good and I had to fire him, what was that going to happen? What was going to happen to the brother that initiated this to begin with? I was very afraid that this was going to be a problem. Well, we wound up hiring this guy, and he turned out to be better than his brother. And we did hire then more people and found out that people were not interested in bringing in people who they could be ashamed of or that would hurt our image or not be good for us, because that would be a very discouraging application to them, that they would have brought in somebody that was a failure. They didn't want that. They would only bring in people that they really felt would fit into our atmosphere and our community and add to our company, not detract from it. So we wound up hiring father and sons. We wound up hiring all kinds of relatives, brothers, sisters, you name it. We also had another interesting experience, which I wanted to pass on as long as we're talking about people. We had one of our HR people, as a matter of fact, have a brother who was sent up for murder. And he spent 10 years in prison. It was not a strong murder charge. It was third-degree murder or something, but it was still murder. And I was very concerned about the fact that, well, I was going to hire a murderer to work in our organization. that didn't appeal to me very much at all. I called my attorney and I talked to him about it. And he said, well, he said, you know, you got to look at it this way. He said, they paid their debt to society. And if this person is still violent, he could get into some future problems, but that in an interview you should be able to tell. If you feel that it was just what his sister had said, where he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, hung out with the wrong crowd, and kind of got sucked into where somebody did get murdered, and he paid his time, he was no longer a threat. So we hired him, and he turned out to be a very good employee because nobody else would hire him. And he finally left us. And that was another thing that I was very interested in. I was interested in creating people that could take their work skills that they learned from our company and apply it somewhere else. So I was rather proud when people would get a promotion and leave the company. I mean, not that we didn't promote from within, we did. This particular fellow worked out in the shop. He worked on the assembly line. He got a much better job doing something better at a different place, but it was basically because he had a good work experience at our place. So your people are very important, and treat them well and get them on your side. When they are happy with what they do, they will be very good employees. The productivity will increase. They will do good things for the company. They're promotable. They will get new jobs. They are excited about being with the company for the long term, which is something in this day and age that really doesn't happen. The last statistic I read about employment of an employee is an average time at a company of about 3/4 of a year. That to me is kind of appalling. I guess being older, where when I started out, you had lifetime jobs. My father worked for 38 years for the same company. So things have changed and people have changed. But if you look at all the training you put into somebody, you want to get more out of them than 3/4 of a year. And we had a much better success rate of people staying with our company for the long duration. We had a lot of people that were there for the whole length of the company. People we had started with were still there at the end. So treat your people well and they will treat you well.